Alright, cast. Historical revisionism for 3d6 of damage. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and there is some chicanery afoot with Wizards of the Coast purposefully and clearly gender swapping a warrior featured on the Dungeons & Dragons red box cover art. It was only last week that I made a video about Wizards of the Coast virtue signaling toward the pride people, and now they're going to virtue signal towards those that care about gender, as if that actually matters in the game, in the realm of tabletop RPGs. It's actually kind of beautiful. We're going to get into this article. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day, and in the grand scheme of things, this may not seem like much, like, oh, it's just a gender swap on some old art. But it goes a bit deeper than that, especially for any of you guys that know how modern Wizards of the Coast operates. So, yeah, let's just get into it. In making it another revision to the long-established lore of the popular tabletop RPG system, Wizards of the Coast has officially revealed that despite appearances, the warrior featured on the cover of the 1983 Dungeons & Dragons Red Box set is not a man, but is actually a woman. And it's, very interesting that Wizards of the Coast would say this when, if you ask the artist who did the art, yeah, no, it's a dude. It's very much a dude. He imagined a dude, and that's what he painted. But you can't tell that to modern Wizards of the Coast, who, again, are going the route of Warhammer 40k, of Games Workshop, and trying to make you believe, no, it was always a woman. They're flat out lying and gaslighting to the Dungeons & Dragons fans, saying it was always a woman, when that is very much not the case. In one of the most iconic images in the entirety of the franchise, the Red Box artwork made its debut in 1983. Its epic scene adorning the front of the game's 3rd edition release. Painted by noticeably fancy artist Larry Elmore, the cover art depicts a faceless warrior seen from behind with a blade in hand and a horned helmet adorning his head, lunging into battle against a roaring crimson dragon. All in all, the perfect piece to quickly and effectively communicate the game's identity to any potential customer who sees it on the shelf. And let's take a moment to look at this. As you can see, this is a very famous Dungeons & Dragons image. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are D&D players. I am a hardcore D&D player, hardcore Magic the Gathering fan, been playing both for years. Absolutely, that's how I got my channel started, was an anti-Wizards of the Coast channel, because I saw all this happening and just couldn't stand by and let it happen any further. And this is an iconic image. We all know this image. If you have played any monicum of D&D in your life, or even anything pop culture related to D&D, I'm sure you've seen this image. Tell me, are these the arms and legs of a female? No, everyone knows this was a dude, and does it matter that it's been changed? Yeah, yes and no, because of what Wizards of the Coast has to say. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to full on admit, it's not the most egregious thing Wizards of the Coast has ever done. They have done far worse. But it's how they justify it with their virtue signaling, which they do go on to do in a little bit, that is the icing on the cake. Also, when the original artist has come out and said, this is, in fact, a male character. So we're going to continue with the article. Given the rippling and stocky physique, for the last 40 years, an assumption has persisted among D&D players that the Battle-Lot warrior was a man. Not that it really mattered, as it was a single image used in a promotion of a game, which required players to create their own characters, and that is why the face was never revealed, mind you. That's why you see the warrior from the back. Because this isn't really a character from D&D. It's just an art image to get you jazzed for the game. In D&D, you've always been able to create your own character, make it a he, a she, look like whatever you want to look like, within the realms and confines of, the game itself. You're not going to have an elf be 2 foot tall. That's not that. You'd be a gnome or a dwarf or a halfling. The fact of the matter is, yes, in a game where you create your own character, what this is doesn't necessarily matter. Unless they're trying to revise history to change your perception of Dungeons & Dragons and what Dungeons & Dragons was, and do it for bogus ideological reasons that only serve to amplify a culture war and choose a political side of the aisle. However, never one to let an opportunity to virtue signal pass them by, rather than allowing this innocent assumption to continue on. Wizards of the Coast has recently confirmed that, as far as they're now concerned, the warrior in question is canonically a woman. I mean, the warrior in question is not a character, not a named character, not anybody that you play as in the game, not even an NPC that you run into in any sort of module. So how can it canonically be anything if it does not exist within the canon? It's just promotional art, but that's neither here nor there. Set to be released later this year, D&D Icons of the Realm's 50th anniversary set presents players with a total of 70 new game miniatures and 60 stand figures, 10 secret chase figures for use in their respective tabletop campaigns. And you know what? If Wizards of the Coast hadn't spent the last decade falling off in quality and deciding that all their time, effort, and money should be spent virtue signaling towards the LGBT mafia or towards people of whatever skin color or whatever gender, anyone that's not a straight white male, if their CEO hadn't come out and said it's time for straight white males to leave the hobby, if they hadn't come out and said that they've got a commitment to diversity, if they hadn't come out and said that it's more important that Aragorn be black for the cultural importance of having a black Aragorn than actually following the source material of Lord of the Rings, their largest crossover and biggest Magic the Gathering set ever to date. If none of that had happened, this would be really cool. This would be a selling point. I'd be like, oh, 50th anniversary Dungeons and Dragons, 60 stand figures, 10 secret chase figures, an actual minifig of the character from this promotional artwork. That's a really cool idea. But because Wizards of the Coast has burned every last ounce of goodwill they have with real fans, with true and original fans, the people that have been financially supportive of them for the last 50 years, give or take, 30 years if you're a Magic the Gathering player. The point is, the people who have made sure that Wizards of the Coast are the apex of tabletop and card gaming in America for the last who knows how many decades, yeah, those customers are the ones that they were willing to just throw by the wayside at the immediate thought of bringing in new customers of all these diverse backgrounds, as if those diverse backgrounds gave a damn about the content of the game itself and didn't just want a space for them to invade and change and make their own and kick out all the others. They are the usurpers, but whoa, no, we're the problematic ones. We've only been supporting you guys for God knows how many years, over God knows how much money, because this shit gets expensive. To this end, one of the 10 secret chase figures will be none other than the Red Box Warrior, themselves the specific miniature recreating the original pose, swinging sword and all. However, in a move the publisher themselves admitted to comicbook.com was done purposefully and clearly. Rather than a man, the miniature very clearly depicts the warrior as a woman. Look at that! We got minifig titties! They've absolutely made this character a woman just to virtue signal. They even admit, they say purposefully and clearly, they wanted to take something that has been celebrated as part of the iconography of Dungeons and Dragons, an image, a visage that had been around for near 40 years, 41 years actually, I believe, since we're in 2024, a visage that had been around for 41 years. And because modern day identity politics are more important than the history of your game, the history of your customers, the legacy and memories and generations of the game and the customers, nope, titties more important because women underprivileged something or another, they chose the bear. God, I hate this fucking company. Notably following this gender reveal, Elmore himself took to his personal Facebook to clarify that while Wizards of the Coast were free to interpret the warrior as a member of the fairer sex, he had, in reality, always considered them to be male. Because you got Larry Elmore, one of the greatest to ever do art for the games, by the way, if not the single greatest, who is known for how he did female characters, because let me tell you, we would not have modern interpretations of female fantasy characters without Larry Elmore's art. The dude is a true master of his class and deserves to be up on, like, tabletop gaming Mount Rushmore. Yeah, he always considered them to be male. You want to know why? Because you could very much distinguish between his style of male and female. I was recently asked a question about the ancient red painting I did for the cover of Red Box Edition, wrote Elmore on May 7th. Did you paint a male or a female? It's a man. And here's the full context of what he said on Facebook. I was recently asked the question about the ancient red painting I did for the cover of Red Box Edition. Did you paint male or female? It's a man. Gary, being Gary Gygax, the creator of D&D, Gary Gygax didn't know what he wanted. All he wanted was something simple that would jump out at you, which he did effectively. Because again, anybody that knows Dungeons & Dragons is familiar with this box art. This box art that will now have irreparable damage done to its legacy because again, Wizards of the Coast cares more about modern day identity politics than the legacy of the godfathers that created 40 years of happiness. gotta get off my soapbox and get back to this. If it was a woman, you would know it. I'm pretty famous for painting women. For this specific painting, while I hide the face of the warrior so it's anonymous, it was painted as a man. You can interpret it however you want, that's the magic of art, but I'm answering a question that was asked without context. Now, the dragon, on the other hand, and frankly, I like that he was able to answer the question as is, come off with a little fun, addendum there at the end, like, this dragon a she-bitch, like, is pretty much what he's saying. But, yeah, I mean, I won't bother reading this, because it's just their version of, what he said in the Facebook post, but following the humorous conclusion of now the dragon on the other hand, I'm more clarified in a postscript. Just to be clear, the thing that I love about D&D was that anyone can be anything in this game. Male, female, both, neither. It does not discriminate. It's a game of imagination, and you can be and do whatever you want, and he's 100% correct here, which is why I say this is kind of a nothing burger, because yeah, this character as a whole doesn't matter in Dungeons & Dragons. It's always been diverse. It's always been inclusive. It's always been all those fancy buzzwords that modern-day Wizards of the Coast and game journalists like to throw around as if they have any goddamn meaning left to them. But in all reality, it's not a nothing burger, because we were talking about the legacy and the history of this game, and we were talking about the individuals that have kept it going for nigh on 41 years, all to be thrown by the wayside. I feel like that warrants a bit of a discussion and an outrage from long-term fans. I've been playing for just over 15 or 16 years. I can only imagine how all the grognards feel about this, considering this was their lifeblood growing up, way back before it was cool to be a nerd, back when that sort of thing still got you shoved in lockers, and now Wizards of the Coast just finds it fair to piss all over that legacy, to piss all over those memories, because titty's more important, I guess. That's exactly what I'm getting from this, but maybe that's not what you're getting. Let me know in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about Wizards of the Coast, although that is one of my favorite subjects to cover, because I hate them oh so, but also anime, movies, Magic the Gathering, music, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You could join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis, choose videos for me to react to on my live streams, and of course be part of the growing army of vital idols, where the only discourse that we care about and the only diversity we care about is diversity of thought, because that's the only diversity that actually matters. Get in on the conversation. It's a live, vibrant, beautiful community, and remember, until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.